Good morning, everybody. Hi,
Good
Laura.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Sam?
Good. Doing well. Doing well. Welcome, everybody, to our final coffee convos of this season. And what a season it has been.
Ride.
A wild ride indeed, among many other things. So welcome. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Hi, Juliana. Welcome. Share this live stream with all your friends and family so that they can tune in as well. Today, we are excited to speak with two very important people who have been seminal in helping us launch this project that is our season finale tomorrow, Let It Be New. There is this whole back side of this program that for those of you who might not know has been going on through NATS, the National Association of Teachers of Singing. And the composers that we tomorrow, CSI, are presenting have all taken part in a brand new composer mentorship program through NATS. And so we are going to be discussing that and getting to know it a little bit better to help raise awareness for it as it moves forward with our two guests today. So firstly, we are happy to welcome to the live stream today the Executive Director of NATS, Alan Henderson. Welcome, Alan.
Hi, it's great to be with you, Sam and Lauren.
Thank you for being with us. And one of a friend to CSI who's appeared on many of our live streams and who is an incredibly internationally renowned composer herself and has been a composer mentor in this first year of the Composer Mentorship Program, the wonderful Lori Laitman. Welcome back, Lori.
Thank you. Hi, Sam. Hi, Alan. Hi, Laura. Great to be here.
So, great. Alan, let's start with you. And can you just generally tell us what NATS is, what its mission is, before we get specific about this Composer Mentorship Program?
Sure. Well, NATS is the National Association of Teachers of Singing, which is the principal professional organization for voice teachers. It was founded in 1944. We have over 7,000 members worldwide, and it's the largest association of teachers of singing in the world. We've also been had a great influence on the creation of other associations of our type surrounding the teaching industry internationally. And our mission is to advance excellence in singing through teaching, performance, scholarship, and research. And so all of our programming and all of the many publications and other activities we do all are around fulfilling that mission and our vision of transforming lives through the power of singing.
Great. Wonderful. Lori and Alan, can you tell us a little bit about how this Composer Mentorship Program came to be?
Well, we have a group that's called the Art Song Collaborative, I think is what we ended up calling it. And Sam's a part of that. And Lori was a part of that, and we had a wonderful collection of people, composers, performers, teachers, collaborative pianists that were put together to just have wide-ranging discussions about art song, about our support of that, and the many ways that NATS can partner with others. We'd already had a great partnership going with Cincinnati Song Initiative. That is several years running now. And so, we just began talking about a lot of the things, the emphases that we wanted to place in the coming years and start strategizing about a variety of things. And suddenly, Tom Chiapullo and Lori started conversing about a new idea. So I'll let Lori take it from there.
Yes, I really cannot take credit. The credit goes to Tom Chiapullo, who thought of this idea to pair experienced art song composers with younger art song composers and sharing our knowledge. And then NATS was so wonderful to make this program come into being. And then Tom and I asked our colleagues, several of our colleagues, if they might be willing to volunteer their time to be a mentor to a young mentee. And for the inaugural year, this year, we chose 10 young Black composers. And Tom and I did our best to match up each mentee with a mentor that we thought would resonate with them. And so we're just so grateful to all the mentors and to the mentees for applying. And, and here are the mentors, Jake Heggie and Tom Chapullo and Roy Jennings, Evan Mack, Anthony Davis, Michael Ching, Andrea Clearfield, myself, and Juliana Hall. And so it's been a wonderful process, I think, for everybody involved. We're very grateful for the program.
What a lineup.
That's an all-star group of people right there.
Yeah, I think this will change each year. And, there are so many wonderful composers. We look forward to a new slate of mentors and mentees next year. And I don't know what the emphasis will be yet. Hasn't been determined. But it will be nice to explore different facets.
Well, this is a pretty massive and awesome first iteration of this program. So how were composers chosen?
Well, Tom and I got, we were like the auditors, I guess, or the judges for choosing. I mean, we just, listened to everybody's music and chose everybody was good. We had to choose 10. So we chose 10 people. And then, like I said, we did spend a lot of time discussing who might work best with whom, and that was based on, what sort of, what level the kids were on. They're not kids, young adults, what level of their compositional journey they were on, and who might benefit most from somebody who had more operatic experience or somebody who had more art song experience, and just did our best. And I think everybody was happy. I hope they were. I was happy. So hope everybody was happy.
I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from both the mentors and the mentees about this experience. And when we discussed it and put it together, of course, we put out a call for, composers to apply to the program, and we had great response. And I think we'll, as we continue it, I think the response will just grow from now. And of course, the thing that comes in my mind all the time is, you have a great successful year like this, then it's always okay. How we're going to top that the next year, right? Sam knows about that, right? So it's always the proverbial, okay, how are we going to make this better? How are we going to tweak it? How are we going to make the experience better for the mentors and the mentees? I myself have seen none of the video products that we're going to see tomorrow. Purposefully on my part, I just want to really take it all in tomorrow and see the great, works that we're going to hear tomorrow, for many for the first time.
Right. So, okay. Well, you teed us up pretty well, Alan. Well, let's just tell everybody what's going on to culminate this project this year, and then we'll get back to sort of talking about the program. But so CSI's part in all this is when luckily, I was on the inside at the very beginning of finding out that this program was going to be developed, because we were talking about it within this NATS group. And so Laura and I thought, what better way to sort of provide a culminating experience for, composers who are taking part in a program and being mentored than to, work on an actual song that would receive a public performance. So Cincinnati Song Initiative decided to create its season finale to give the composers a full year, this whole mentorship period, as much time as possible, to come up with a song that we would then produce and premiere as our season finale. And so tomorrow we are thrilled to be premiering those 10 songs by the incredible inaugural group of these NATS composer mentees. I think at this point I have everybody's name down. So from the top left to right, we have composers Lauren McCall, James Morris, Mason Bynes, Delshawn Taylor, Dave Ragland, Jens Ibsen, Quinn Mason, Kyle Wooten, Jarell R. Gray, and Maria Corley Thompson. So these are the 10 incredible composers who have worked alongside incredibly experienced composers of vocal works like Lori and Tom and Anthony Davis and Jake Heggie and Juliana Hall, et cetera, et cetera. And so tomorrow you'll see the premieres of their songs, which we were in Cincinnati and recorded last weekend. So we've been busy getting everything ready for this premiere tomorrow, the behind the scenes work of all these live stream concerts. So that's tomorrow, 4 p.m. Stream it for free on CSI's website, and that is our season finale. But let's get back to Alan. Can you talk to us in the context of NATS and what you think it means to have this new nationally sort of platformed composer mentorship program? I mean, do things like this exist elsewhere?
Well, there are programs, for composers, workshops, artist retreat, composer retreats, and other programs that exist to mentor young composers. Opera America has also has several opportunities for young composers in the operatic genre. One of the things that I think is so important is that we've within NATS, we've had long associations with a wide variety of composers who have been very, very active in our organization. They've regularly presented at conferences. They've been to numerous chapters and presented programs. Their works have been premiered at NATS conferences and NATS events and by NATS members all over the place, of course. And that, the ecosystem that exists within our art form is so interdependent upon the continued, creativity, the idea generation, the collaborative process. I think now more than ever before, due to efforts like these and many others, especially I think during the pandemic times, we're seeing a lot more true partnership and collaborations between an individual performer and a composer, creator of a piece, where there's even more back and forth in this process of somebody commissions me. Of course, Lori's an expert at this. Somebody commissions me to write an art song. That whole process and how that works. And I find that, exhilarating. I know Lori does. I know so many other people do. And what I think that we have the opportunity to continue to foster is just more of that, and earlier in people's careers, early in people's, not only as singers, but as composers. How can we continue, create those partnerships earlier in careers, and how can we energize composers who have an affinity for the singing voice, and maybe it hasn't been fostered yet, but they know they love working with singing voice, and they want to get better at that aspect of their craft. And I see this, among many other ways, as a really great opportunity for us to continue to build those partnerships even earlier in people's careers.
That's great.
Yeah, I actually have a question to sort of piggyback off of that for both you, Alan, and you, Lori, because you're talking a lot about the collaborative process between not just art song and arts and singing organizations, but between performers and composers and librettists and poets. And I'm really curious about that process as it's sort of manifested throughout the last 9 months or so as we've been going through this first iteration of the mentor-mentee program. So what has that process looked like over the last 9 months? What have been your interactions with the composers and the performers and some of those background conversations that you've had in order to facilitate that, especially during the time of COVID when we can't be together all the time and everything's happening over Zoom? Can you talk a little bit about that collaborative process and how through this process, we've also been trying to encourage, connection and networking and all of that?
Lori, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, for me, all of my live performances have been postponed. I was telling Sam they're all coming due next year. I'm never going to be home, but there, so everything. I mean, I did do a lot on Zoom, and I worked with young singers, just coaching them via Zoom. They'd send me a tape. I mean, we either worked through Zoom or through MP3s or videos that they sent to me, and I would just make comments. In terms of working with my mentor, I mean, my mentee, Kyle, we had probably about 14 meetings between October and January. And it was, although it might have been 12, because I think I missed one by accident, and I think he slept through one. But, it was just, we were very loose about it. There wasn't a strict schedule. Whenever he wanted a meeting, he'd email me, and we'd set up a time, and then we'd see each other on Zoom. And from my perspective, it was wonderful not only to see his progress as a musician, because he's at the beginning of his compositional journey and he's super talented, but to develop a real bond between us, and a real friendship, and sharing recipes or learning about what his life was like, or, as he was finishing up his dissertation. And, it was just always fun, and something that I looked forward to. And I hope that he looked forward to it too. But I know I'm not the only mentor that felt that way. The program, I think, is invaluable for developing not only a personal connection between mentor and mentee, but also between the mentees themselves. I believe that they got together. The mentors did not get together. That's one thing I might suggest, that we have some mentor parties on Zoom, with a cocktail in hand.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we all know each other. I don't know all the mentors actually, but I'd love to know them. I know most of them, and just get to know more about each other, and just foster a very sort of supportive and creative community, with the goal of increasing the number of beautiful art songs in the world. That's, so I think in many respects, art song during the pandemic was certainly something that could be more easily done via Zoom or, performances on tape. But it also led, I think, to the creation of this whole new art song music video industry, where a lot of art songs became music videos again, or became there were films about the art song, because that is more somehow, well, at least to me, I think it allows for a lot of creativity in presenting the song in a new way. And I think that is something I'd love to see continue beyond the pandemic. My original background in composition was writing music for film and theater, and I still always think of my poetry as miniature films. So now that I have written my songs to a miniature poem, a poem that I consider a miniature film, it's kind of thrilling to see when young students take that song and then invent a film to go along with that. It's sort of full circle in a way. So I don't know if I answered your question, Laura, but.
Absolutely. No, because it's one of those things where you talk about developing a mentorship program or the creative process, and it's sort of melding the two. And it's just, not everybody gets to see that part where, you talk about how many meetings you've had or the relationships that you build with your mentees. We as the audience or as the consumers of the art just see the final product. And I think something that's really special about the story arc here is getting that process in the middle. And I think it's amazing that you developed a relationship with your mentee, and you shared recipes and, or pictures of pets, or, whatever. And that's something that brings even more humanity and connection into what we're doing. It's not just someone telling someone else what to do, but it's really helping develop
a connection,
a new generation of artists. Yeah.
And that's really special. One other thing, of course, once the song was done and it went to the artists, Kyle has the wonderful Daryl Taylor, with whom I've worked for many, many years, singing his song. And there were one or two notes that, Daryl wanted a different note. It wasn't perfect for his voice. And I'm always of the mindset that, a happy singer is a good singer. Singer wants a different note, give him a different note, but for Kyle, that was a scary thing. It's like, oh my God, he doesn't want that note. What am I going to do? I just said, why don't you try this note instead? And Kyle liked the suggestion, and we just took it down a fifth, and it was good for Daryl, and problem solved. For me, that's such a simple thing, just change a note, because I'm not working from a theoretical standpoint. I'm working from a dramatic standpoint. But I think, younger composers have to learn that even when you're done, you can still make changes based on feedback from the performers. That's a pretty important lesson.
Yeah, that seems super important. And while you were working, you can only speak from your own exact experience, Lori, but can you give the people some sort of glimpse into what does a composer mentor mentee relationship look like when you're working? Because of course you are grouped into the bubble of musicians alongside with all of us, but it's not a teacher, working with a student on something. Obviously there is compositional technique, but so my question is what is different when a composer mentor is working with a composer mentee versus when a piano teacher is telling a piano student to change their fingering or something like that?
Well,
what does that look like?
With a piano student, of course, the music is already written. So here,
right.
Every composer has their own style, and a younger composer is still in the process sometimes of finding their style, finding their own voice. My job as a mentor is not to change their style, but to make it the best that it can be. So sometimes when you have a new eye looking at something, that might not seem quite right to the younger composer, but they don't know what to do about it, I can throw out some suggestions and say, well, what is it about that bothers you? What might you want to think? Maybe you want to do this instead or this instead. Throw out a few suggestions and let the student figure out what works best. And I think for Kyle, who is so talented and wonderful, but like I said, is at the beginning of his compositional journey, he doesn't have that much experience writing art song. I think, that I would say what I was trying to do was influence him to be the most expressive, both with the vocal line and the accompaniment, in order to bring the poetry to life. And I think that he really grew in terms of going beyond his comfort limit in finding new ways and more imaginative ways for bringing the whole meaning of the poem, which was incidentally by his mother. It's a beautiful poem. Normally, I wouldn't encourage somebody to set their mother's poetry, but and he was considering other poetry at the start. So, one of the first things we did was look at the poetry, and then he was applying for permissions, and then permissions didn't come through. And then this poem was just so beautiful. And, so you just want to sort of take a look, see if there are any problem spots. If the person is stuck, maybe suggest a few paths, out of the problem spot. And just with your own experience, sort of guide them as to how to get to the finish line, not to freak out if you don't progress too much, just, do it. And my own proclivity is always to write the vocal line first, and then you figure out the rest, not to get so fixated on the up and downness of it, but to have that draft and then craft it. I always feel like I'm building a house of cards and I'm just assembling it sort of, and I may change it and put bricks on later or whatever, but to begin with, I need to have some kind of idea of the structure, which always comes from the poem itself. So,
on a large metaphorical level, this is exactly, of course, the same as what any teacher does with any student, right? Alan, Laura, teachers of voice.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. We all operate in a sense of isolation. There's a sense of oneness and aloneness often in the work that we do as singers individually, composers, collaborative pianists. Obviously, the the joy we get and the real inspiration we get is the culmination of that coming together of, of the composition, the singer, the collaborative pianist partner, and the true synergy that's created in that wonderful artistry that comes out in any performance. And one of the things I love about this program and how it's developing is that aspect of breaking down a little bit that sense of isolation that we can kind of fall into. We can get a little bit into our holes, and certainly in the pandemic, we've all had our places and corners that we've been pushed into. And so in many ways, I feel like this opportunity has been a way to connect, and it's been a way to kind of pull people out of isolation during this time and bring them together to kind of, and to create what we're going to hear on Sunday. And the idea that we can connect, a young composer with a more established composer, does all the things that Lori has stated, and more, because I think it also pulls them in, the younger composers, into this community of singers and collaborative pianists, and this kind of ecosystem that we have within the greater performing arts sphere, that's so special. And I'm really hoping, that continues, and that they, as Lori said, they've been together, they've forged connections among themselves. They've forged connections somewhat with the singers that are performing their works. And that is just the start of what we hope, will just continue to blossom, and that as we continue to build this program and more people experience it, that we just kind of create a much more, I don't want to say open, because I feel like within a certain sphere, everybody communicates and there's a lot of collaboration, but just a more open community and a more welcoming atmosphere for all that come into this community, and are excited about song and art song.
I think it's really, really special and very informative for people who might be looking at something like this. A light bulb can go off, and it can be encouraging to see just how easy, especially now with all this virtual communication that we've really harnessed, how easy it can be to just pick up the phone or make a Zoom link and ask a composer and connect in that way. And I know so many performers who love premiering new music, and it never even occurs to them as a possibility to actually touch base with the living composer. even just to tell them that they're performing their work, let alone try and establish some sort of, dialogue about if you want to like give it a go for the composer and get some feedback, or anything even more substantial than that, but just to write. And, rightfully so, we have all of you incredible living American composers on such high pedestals, but at the same time, we've learned just how willing and happy you are to, talk to us about your music and connect in that way. So that's been a real blessing, for us in this past year. And I hope that a lot of other people take a cue from it. Alan, in the context of starting this program within NATS, what does it mean, and where do you see the future possibilities of sort of bringing this pipeline of new and emerging and established composer mentors and mentees, connecting them with members of NATS, and what are the implications for that in the future moving forward?
Well, I mean, I see, obviously, I love what you said about just picking up the phone and calling a composer. I'm of a certain age that, earlier in my career when I was a student, I would have never thought about, even though, I had faculty, a faculty member who wrote something for me to sing as a student, so those kind of connections were already established before certain things like that happened. But, I'd be preparing something for a recital by a living composer. It just wasn't, years ago when I was a student, it wasn't so much part of our ethos to just think that we could do that. And I love, that we've been able to break down some of those barriers through some of the work you've been doing and so many other people have been doing during the pandemic. But even before that, there were vibrant communities, of people who were breaking down some of those barriers. And we have enough barriers in the world as it is, and enough barriers within our own art form that, just need to be kind of ripped down and thrown in the trash. And we need to be, just a welcoming and opening community and welcome all of these voices, these artistic voices, these wonderful musical influences from, all parts of the world, all parts of our country and many other parts, and the many influences that make American art song what it is today. And opera. And, I guess the potential really is endless when you think about that. And what I hope that, we'll begin to do is through some of our bigger events, like our national conference and some other bigger events that we have where we bring lots of people together, that we've always had, Lori's been a regular attendee at NATS conferences for many years, but and a good number of other composers as well. But I'm hoping that, those kind of experiences have become more and more in recent times, kind of petri dishes for coming together, having conversations, and leading to all kinds of interesting partnerships where we're all sitting there, we're all having these wonderful conversations all across the attendee sphere, and those are all just seeding so many more opportunities for people, new commissions, new other projects that are coming forward. And so I'm really excited to see how this does some things like that and brings even more people together, and encourages a lot more, like you say, connection, conversation, breaking down those kind of artificial barriers, because rarely have I actually picked up the phone and called a composer that they haven't, just picked it right up and said, "Hey, how you doing? Let's talk about this." So it's not as scary as it seems in many ways as well.
Anybody who wants to dabble in writing a composer, just send them an email through their website and say, "Hey, I'm performing your cycle, the Metropolitan Tower." I don't think I have ever not received an email back from a composer, even if it's just something like that. But everybody that I've ever written to share that, they always like, "Thank you so much for performing this." So this is not to say that Lori Laitman is sitting at her windowsill crying every day, waiting for us all to email her and invite her to come spend time with us and coach. But this sort of connection, and you never know what you could learn, and you could, even establish a friendship out of it. So I think this has been so awesome in that way to learn that that's just an okay part of the process and to open up that dialogue. We have a good question here from Lucy. She wants to know if the mentorship program moving forward is going to sort of representing and highlighting voices of underrepresented and minority groups is going to be a sort of cornerstone at all of the program. Alan,
I don't know that it's been discussed, Alan, has it?
We haven't fully decided on that. I mean, after Sunday, we're going to have a little debrief session that will pull everybody together that's been involved in the project to kind of plan the next iteration and, start the ball rolling on that. Obviously, we had a unique opportunity in this inaugural program to highlight the group that we have, and that was a communal decision that was made by the group that was helping put the event together. And we may continue that in some way and shift that in different ways. Certainly, it's part of our mission to make sure that we do have opportunities that break down barriers, as I said, and bring attention to underrepresented groups, whether it's composers or performers or collaborative pianists and other parts of our singing world. And we are about that, and we are doing that work. So where exactly the next iteration is, I'm not sure, but I know that those discussions will be at the forefront.
Yeah. And, you know, for anybody watching, if you know an incredibly talented composer who you think could benefit from this program, actively share the application with them, and let's just grow the awareness that this program now exists. And let's, you know, increase the pool of applicants so that, you know, everybody who we might know who might benefit from this program, and working with such incredible composer mentors would benefit from this. Bring it their way, and we'll you know, we'll grow the party in that way. Yeah. Good.
I'm interested. I got a question for you, Sam and Laura. Tell us a little bit about the process of putting together the concert that we're going to hear tomorrow.
I'll let Laura tell everybody about our recording session last week. We luckily knew that this was going to happen a year in advance, so we gave ourselves the most time to sort of go through this process. We wanted the composers to have a comfortable amount of time to come up with a song, compose a song, you know, work with their mentors on it. And so what we did was, I think the composers of the program, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, were identified by late September or early October of 2020. We then immediately...
Yeah, I think September 15th.
Yeah. Wow. Good memory. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like early fall. And then we immediately got in touch with them, said, hey guys, this is an awesome feature of this first year of the NATS Composer Mentorship Program. You are getting an automatic commission from the Cincinnati Song Initiative because you were chosen to be part of this program. And then the due date to submit the brand new compositions was beginning of January 2021. So they had all fall to work on the song. And then we got the scores. We looked through them. We looked at the ranges, the tessituras, the vocal, what kind of singers each song would require in a premier performer. And then we went out and assembled a really great team of mostly Cincinnati-based artists who will be the premier performers. And there's a wide range of vocal types. We've got soprano, mezzo songs, countertenor, baritone. I don't think there's any tenors. So an incredible array. Yes, no tenors. So then the performers had the spring to prepare it comfortably. And we, you know, again, we wanted there to be a lot of luxurious amount of preparation time, you know, which is sometimes not the case with brand new music. Sometimes scores can be, for various reasons, can just be coming in a little bit under a tight wire. So we wanted everybody involved in the process to have as much time to prepare this as possible. And then Laura, tell us about, you know, when we got together last weekend.
Well, to piggyback just really quickly off of what you were talking about, Sam, one of the big things that, at least from a singer's standpoint, that we really tried to encourage during that preparation process, really between January and last weekend, was an opportunity to collaborate between the composer and the artist. So they had a few months to go back and forth and, you know, discuss, kind of like Lori, you were saying with Kyle. They had opportunities to say, hey, this doesn't quite fit with my voice. Let's talk about how we can, you know, make this better, stuff like that. So it was really great to see the fruition of that process, and getting to talk with the singers about that experience of working with composers, because I think there's that fear factor of talking to a composer about a new piece, and you're like, but this is what they wrote, and I feel like this is what I have to do. It's set in stone. But it was really great to see that process kind of take place. And then last weekend, all of us got together, and I'm very lucky to be married to a multi-talented man who is not only a singer and insurance man extraordinaire, he is also a recording engineer. So we all got together and we had a really great setup to get amazing sound from this gorgeous space that we were in. And everyone just showed up super prepared and ready to go. And as my own little personal anecdote of the whole thing, it was my first time experiencing live performance in over a year. It was a very emotional experience for me. Sorry, Sam. And
It
but it
really
was
was.
really, really moving to be in that space, kind of at my own little private world premiere of everything. And then we had a bunch of different cameras set up, and hopefully to create sort of as close as we can, you know, an immersive and dynamic experience for people watching this on screens. And so my project has been to put all of that together. Husband is doing all of the audio editing and making sure everything sounds like it did in the space. And then I put all the videos together, you know, making sure again that it's a dynamic and enjoyable experience for everyone to watch. And hopefully that will be the case tomorrow at 4:00.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's been a process that has been simmering all season, and it's taken good coordination, good communication, and all parties involved have been just so absolutely amazing to work with. And everybody knew what was going on. So we all knew that this is how this event was going to be culminating, and everybody was on board from the beginning. And I say that with such admiration and respect and gratitude, because this whole season has been such a trust fall, probably for everybody involved. But for Laura and I, you know, for CSI, and I'm sure a lot of other art song organization administrators can relate, it's been a real trust fall, because we're just emailing artists that we know and love and trust to like do this thing. Sometimes send us videos of them recording in whatever space and equipment they have available to them, and we try and help logistically as much as possible. But we've been putting these concert videos together without meeting or seeing half these people. Sometimes we get to record them in person, sometimes we don't. And so this whole process, this whole season has just been so epic to experience and witness. And we are so incredibly grateful to the artists and the composers and other people involved who have just, you know, lifted this boulder up this mountain, because we didn't want to go underground for the year. You know, we wanted to do something. And so, you know, I say this all with much gratitude. So this project has been all season long. So it's just gone through so many different phases.
Yeah, that's been great. And I think, you know, one of the things that is a thing that we will look back and think as a positive in a very kind of negative period of our total lives, is that we have found ways to collaborate, and we have found ways to work creatively in adverse situations.
Yeah.
And we've been able to leverage things like technology and some of the other wonderful opportunities we've had during this time. It's not going to replace, you know, our desire and our just, you know, our want to get back to that live experience in any way, shape, and form. But as we are all discussing amongst ourselves and in our individual organizations and collectively together, there are things that will be carried forward in a post-pandemic world that, for those of us who are running organizations like Sam and I and some other people, present unique challenges going forward to how to continue to reach the broader audience when we have been primarily a kind of a live, in-person performance organization or existed within that environment primarily. So it's going to be a really interesting, I think, transition to see how we move forward.
Yeah, for sure. Before we wrap up, Lori, we wanted to know who did you have many or any significant mentors in your compositional upbringing, you know, to sort of bring it full circle?
Well, I always consider the birth of my compositional career to be when I wrote that first art song in 1991, which was 15 years or so after I graduated from Yale School of Music with a degree in flute performance.
Right.
So, but I had stayed in touch with both of my composition teachers, but the one teacher that became my mentor was Frank Lewin. He was the one that taught my course in writing music for film and theater. And at the beginning, when I started writing, I really had no confidence at all. And so I would, we didn't have email then, I don't think. I would send him my music, and I would show it to him, and I would show it to my husband, and I would show it to Lauren Wagner, for whom I was writing all the early songs. So I had sort of like a trio of mentors, each with their own way of, contributing what might be improved. Frank was, very focused on the compositional aspect, and maybe I didn't need to repeat something here or there. Lauren was focused on the voice, like she didn't want a phrase to go up, or she wanted it to go down, so I would change things. And then my husband just has to look and say, oh, you could do better, or whatever, so the three of them were my trio of mentors. But Frank was very influential in helping me understand how to structure a song cycle in particular. His whole advice was, whatever you start with, have the second song be upbeat, because you can wake up the audience by that point. And then he was also in, when I was putting together my first CD of solo songs in 2000, he was, very influential in having me just figure out the exact number of seconds to put in between the tracks too. It wasn't only the music, it was just the whole structure of the piece and of a recording. And that sort of stayed with me throughout. Whenever I do a recording or a CD, I am always looking to create a dramatic arc from start to finish. So it's not only the dramatic arc of a song cycle, but of a CD, which is like a giganto song cycle put together, So I was lucky to have him.
That's absolutely fantastic. So full circle. I mean, thank you so much for your time in being part of this brand new initiative. It means so much to us to know that someone of your stature and ability is part of it. And I, can only imagine that the composers are so grateful for their mentors as well. So this has been
a wonderful experience. Thank you all. And thank you for bringing it alive for the concert tomorrow. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, we're excited to have this sort of culminating event so that folks can hear, what has been worked on all year. Lori, do you have the list of composer mentors handy again?
I do.
Can you read once again who the 10 mentors are?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you the people, the mentees and the mentors.
Great.
Quinn Mason was paired with Jay Keggy. James Morris was paired with Tom Ciapullo. Lauren McCall was paired with Roy Jennings. Maria Thompson-Corley was paired with Evan Mack. Jens Ibsen was paired with Anthony Davis. Dave Ragland was paired with Michael Ching. Mason Bynes was paired with Tom Ciapullo. Gerald Gray was paired with Andrea Clearfield. Kyle Rudin was paired with me. And Delshawn Taylor was paired with Juliana Hall.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great. So again, everybody, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time on CSI's website, you can go right to our homepage, and there's plenty of buttons and links that will be very clear to take you to the concert. Catch these 10 world premieres. I am so excited to share with you all that the host for tomorrow's concert is the award-winning composer Sean Apebolo, who is a CCM alum, teaches at Wheaton University in the Chicago area, and he is an absolute star himself. And so we are lucky that we will be having him host the event tomorrow as well. Good. So anything else, everybody? Did we do business?
I'm just really grateful to the CSI and all the work you're doing and for partnering with us on this project. I think it's really going to culminate in a really exciting performance tomorrow, and we couldn't have done it without you guys.
It's been our distinct pleasure. So, we're just really looking forward to it. Okay, everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we're going to leave you with a little video from Sean to, in case you weren't planning or convinced to come attend tomorrow, this will get you. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
Hi there, my name is Sean Apebolo, and I am so excited to be your host for Cincinnati Song Initiative's season finale, Let It Be New. this concert is going to be a really special event because it features 10 world premieres by some of the country's greatest up-and-coming composers of song. We've assembled a dynamic team of premier performers, and now we just need you to make the magic happen. You can stream the performance for free on May 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CSI's website, Facebook, or YouTube channel. I hope you'll join me and the artist and bring a friend or five to enjoy from the comfort of your home. See you Sunday.